Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Hyphens Classics. So today we're back on the R56 Mini one. So I don't know which episode we'll be up to for this one because I filmed quite a bit. It's not going to be one, but it'll be down below. It'll either be, this is either part 2, part 3. So we were chasing a water fault with a thermostat, as you know. So we fixed that. So we've replaced the thermostat housing, and then we had a problem with the cross pipe. We're hoping to get away with that, but obviously, and I recommend if you are changing this that you change the cross pipe as well. That was a nightmare, as you know. You should have hopefully seen that by now. We did some testing. I didn't film putting the water in here, but because we were just doing a test, I wanted to make sure everything was fine before we actually put coolant in. So we will video that part as when we get to it. But where we're at now is there's another water leak during testing, and for those who know, this, you have your oil filter, and on some of the cars I think there's a cooler as well. Can't quite see it in here, down under here. But what we need to get to is we need to get to this now, because this is leaking where this joins onto the block. There's now water. If you can even probably just see it. I wonder if I can't zoom in. I'll try in post-production, but just on this seam right there, just above my finger, you can see there's just a little seep of water, and we've got water leaking out of there now. So what we've got to do to get this off, we're going to take a lot of the front of the car off. I'm hoping I don't have to take I think I have to take the downpipe, the headers off, to get at the bolts that hold this in. But first of all, we're going to try and get as much of this off as possible. Now, I've already started because I've got to get this done. Basically, watch Mod Mini, a guy in the US. He actually shows you doing this on an S model. He does talk about the differences between an S model and a non-S. He will lift up the car, but he's got a lift. He'll take the wheels off so he can get him behind the wheels to get the inner linings off. You've got to take these off. Also take all these clips off here. There's 3 on that side, then there's 2 other clips holding this on onto here, and then this snaps forward out. There's a couple of clips here and here. It snaps forward off this so that we can get the actual bumper off. Really want to pull this off so we can see and get in there basically, and get underneath and do some stuff. So this has got to come off as well, so we can get in there. But that's what the aim is today, to try and get this done, and once we've changed that, then we'll do another water test, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's good, and then we can put some coolant in it and the car will be back on the road. She's been a big job, but hey, we're nearly there. Alright, I'm going to crack into taking more of this apart. I won't video all of it. As I said, if you watch Mod Mini, he'll show you how a lot of this stuff comes apart. What we'll do is we'll start getting into it when we get down to pulling that off. See you in a bit. Right guys, an update. So as you can see, we've got a lot of the front of the car off. So I've undone this bracket, but it's this shield, heat shield, but it's not going to help. Obviously this O2 sensor's in the way. I'm going to see if we can get that out to get this off. But what I'm thinking is there's still this heat shield here goes all the way down, to try and supposedly keep heat out of the engine, I'm assuming, and hide the cat down there, and that I think's in the way. I was hoping that if I get this off I'd be able to bend it out of the way enough to get to the bolts, but I'm not sure. So what I'm looking to do is, do we take the whole headers off and the cat out and just pull that up out the way? The challenge I've got, so one nice thing about this car, they've used copper brass nuts on here. Nice, they undo really easily. I did put some penetrating fluid on them last week when I was working on them, so that may have helped, but always nice to see. The other thing is these are 10 mils. Down the bottom is a 16 mil on the clamp before the flex pipe. We've got to see if I can undo that before we go any further. There's no point undoing all that and find I can't undo that. So although this may come forward, but I don't want to put too much stress on the flex pipe. Look under here, there's the flex pipe, there's the clamp here. We've got to undo, and then of course the other O2 sensors down here, the post cap sensor. These are all, they are the sensor here. We can unclip all that and take it all out with it if we need to, but yeah. So first point, see if I can undo that one underneath, but I haven't got a deep throat 16mm socket here, so I've got to go and work something out with that. But that's where we're going to get to. As I said, I'm not going to film all of this because I'm up and down, and having the camera in the right place. So I'm just going to be talking you through what I've done and what it's looked like and where it is. So, oh, what I didn't film is there's obviously another heat shield that sits over the top of this. There's just 5 screws. Fairly easy to get that piece out. There were 4 bolts holding this in. Is again just 10mm bolts, these things here. So just one in there, one down, one in under there, and one just down there. So not too difficult that. But right, for here, like I said, from here I will crank this off, see if I can get that bolt undone underneath, and if I can, then we'll be pulling the headers out, the whole lot, pull the whole lot out and get it out of the way. Right, we're back. Don't ask, but that's off. It had to. We've got so much apart here, but this is off. Getting this cover off, thank goodness it's aluminium. You know, it's flexible is what I call it. The good news is I don't have to take this off. And I did start trying to loosen it off, but it just didn't want to pull off. But the good thing is we've got 3 8mm bolts that I can now get to. There's one just in there, one there, and one there. And the good news is I can get to them. And we can see, look at all the oil down through there as well. So this has been leaking like crazy. Is there another bolt? Is there 4? There's 4. 1, 2, 3. And there's another one in behind there. Yeah, not quite sure where I'll get to that one just yet, but I've got a spanner. So that's what we need to get off. And that's going to affect load all this oil this has got to be part of all the massive oil leak the car's got. This is going to be brilliant to get rid of this as well. Anyway, like I said, apologies that I'm not videoing how this all comes apart, but this has to get done on my way tomorrow, and this car has to be back together. So the challenge with pulling them apart is a lot of these plastic clips, a lot of the bolts and screws and nuts, they go rusty, they get stuck, and one of the worst things is the light fittings. This, I didn't take this out. This, you can see, has been quite rusty. It was actually sitting down here somewhere. But you can see this metal bit here is actually just held in to the plastic. There's one there. Look at this. That's it there, and sitting in the plastic. And of course, these things rust up. Guess what happens? They just rip and spin. So anyway, good things and bad things about this car. I'll certainly be glad to get this done. Right. The reason was this wasn't pulling off easily is there's 2 13mm bolts holding the cat on. So that's come loose. Got this away enough. 4 bolts. They're 8mm bolts holding this in. You can already see water dripping from where this is, and as you can see, the oil from here is just everywhere. So this has actually been a really good repair, even though it's been a pain in the ass. But I'm just waiting to get a tray, and then we'll pull this off and have a look. Right, so there we go, we've pulled it off. Needs a bit of a clean up, but you can see lots of black crap on that. Now let's have a look at the actual filter. So here's the oil one, and this, as you can see, is exactly how it was. So that's split. Now the interesting thing is the one doesn't have the oil cooler on the other side. So on the sport model, you'd have a cooler here. So the oil would go up through the cooler and then water would go through and circulate and cool it. But both these, obviously, let's spin that around a bit. So this one's obviously toast. And you can see where it's, I mean, look at it, it's just tried to spread out into the sides there. So it's just brittle as anything. Look. God. That's rubbish. Let's see if we can get this one out. Oh, here we go, from the edge here. A little clip. God, this is hard as anything. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to put you down. There. Come on. It's so hard. This rubber. It's no wonder nothing much was being held in. Where can we get in without causing? Just want to make sure we don't damage anything. Okay, we're going to split the rubber a bit, but I want to get it out. I haven't got a little hook with me. Hang on a second. It's good at breaking. There we go. Look at that. It's just so brittle. Oh my gosh, it's like solid plastic. It's amazing it was holding anything back. Jeepers. Oh gee, don't. You don't want bits of plastic floating around inside the engine bay. Oh, sorry, the engine bay. Inside the sump and everything else. Look at that. That is just ridiculously hard. Right, what I'd like to do is I'm going to clean up these surfaces as well before we put everything back. And also we're going to change the oil. So 27mm on this, we're going to undo this, change the oil filter. I'm going to drop the oil as well and put some new stuff in. But like I said up there, look at that. I just want to make sure we clean all that crap off there so we get a good seal when we're back. There's lots of bits of crap there, so just want to make sure we get rid of that. Obviously there's water that's dropped down there and in the oil gallery there, so we'll try and get some of that out. I don't want too much water floating around in there. You're always going to get a little bit, but try and get as much out of that as possible. So right, let's get on with that. Right, we've seen those out. I haven't quite cleaned up this. I'll give this a quick wipe down, but here's the new ones. Look at these, all rubber, nice, squeezy. So we're going to put those in, but I'm just going to give everything a bit of a clean up first. We'll run a drop of oil over these as well, I think, just to help seal. But yeah, we're just going to give this a bit of a clean up. We've cleaned up in here, got rid of most of the rubbish. Actually, I can see a little bit. Actually, I think I want to give that a bit more of a clean. Got a lot of it off, but again, want to make sure that's perfect, because obviously this is going to sit there, and we want to make sure, you can see it's going to sit there. We want to make sure that seals properly. It's a bit dirty up the top there. We definitely don't want water dropping down into where the oil is, so we'll keep cleaning that up a little bit, and we'll show you just before we pop it back in. Right, new rubber seals are in, and look at this. I mean, you can see it standing above the edge there, where the other one was even, I probably sunken below it. So I just see a little bit of crap on it. So we're just going to pop that back on, get those bolts back in, go and have a quick cup of tea and then finish it. We've got the oil filter out. The white one O-ring is the old one, a black one. So with these O-rings, I got that one, but with the I got a Bosch oil filter that came with one as well. So we're putting a new one on. We're always going to, but we're just going to pop this on and set that back in place, get the bolts in, and then go work out, have a cup of tea and work out the torque settings, come back and get that done up, put the oil filter back in, and then start putting this car back together. I think called Wishing Me Luck is going to be a good one on this. It's a lot of the car that's come apart, but there you go. Working out how we make sure we got everything back. Fun challenge.